I had to look in the mirror every day and remind myself I wasn't Sydney anymore. I was Christy.
I did weight training twice a day and then boxing every day for 3 hours a day. And I put on about 35 pounds for the role. It was a very transformative, different experience.
The internet used to talk about Sydney Sweeney the way corner men talk about a busted cut, fixate on one patch of skin and ignore the fighter attached to it. After Euphoria and that infamous boat deck bikini shoot, the big boobs actress meme took on a life of its own. Sweeney could either fight the brand or flip it. She chose both, bought rights to Christy Martin's memoir, slid the contract across MGM's boardroom table and said, "I will bleed for this role, literally. But I'm also producing, and I decide where the camera points."
It was quite a transformation.
Yeah.
I think that Christy Martin will forever be one of the most special projects that I've ever done. I got to train. I trained for like 2.5, 3 months before I started filming, and I had boxing training and weight training multiple times a day for hours a day, and I had a nutritionist that would help me put on weight, so I put on like 30 to 35 pounds.
Right.
Some executives flinched. Martin was a coal country tomboy who knocked out 31 opponents before women's boxing was even sanctioned. It was violent. It was queer. It was rural. It was everything Hollywood labels niche. Sydney called it freedom. While filming Anyone But You in Sydney, the city, not the star, she stayed up after night shoots scrolling legal PDFs. Martin's life rights were tangled in bankruptcy filings from her ex-trainer husband who once tried to kill her. Sweeney wired a 6-figure personal advance covering Christy's medical debt in exchange for 18 months of exclusive negotiating window. Her own agents warned against it. "You might never recoup." She said the same thing about her first pair of boxing gloves when she was 14. Expensive, but they fit. 6 weeks later, Black Bear Pictures matched her check. Deal closed. Christy fought at 5'4" and 138 lbs with cruise missile shoulders and almost no body fat. Sweeney's natural frame sits at 5'3", 125 lbs with famous curves. Trainer Mia St. John built a 6-month protocol. Heavy compound lifts at 85% 1RM, weighted sled drags and rope climb intervals until her lats threatened to tear sports bras. 420 clean calories. Bison, quinoa, beet juice, raw honey, and 4 nightly tablespoons of peanut butter, because Christy craved PB sandwiches in camp. She gained 17 lbs of muscle, lost 2 cup sizes, and posted 0 thirst traps. Paparazzi photos outside the gym looked almost CGI. Sweeney's jawline sharper, arms veiny, freckles hidden under sunburn from desert road work.
I had a nutritionist work with me, as well as a weight trainer and a boxing trainer, and we upped my calorie intake, and I started taking a lot of protein shakes and supplements and eating everything. I ate a lot of Smuckers, a lot of PB and J sandwiches, milkshakes, kind of just constantly always eating because we were so active. I was constantly like burning it all off at the same time, so keeping it all up was quite a challenge.
Fight camp, a day in the Hurt Locker. At 5 a.m., canyon sprints in 8,000-foot Nevada air. 8 a.m. ice plunge, then dialect coaching on Appalachian vowels. 10 a.m. sparring southpaw rounds with Golden Gloves teens who didn't care she was a star. They cared she kept dropping her right. 2 p.m. Zoom call to finalize tax credit paperwork with the Utah Film Commission. 5 p.m. shadow box in VR headset while replaying Christy's 1996 bloodsplat fight on loop, measuring her own cadence to match Martin's 178 punches per round. 9 p.m. cryotherapy, scripture reading, Christy was raised Baptist, and journaling one memory of personal shame to weaponize later on screen. Midnight protein oat sludge, lights out, headphones playing real 911 call from the night Jim Martin shot Christy. Sweeney said she dreamt in gunshots for weeks. Tabloids framed the transformation as awards bait. But behind union doors she was waging a quieter war. Equal salary to co-lead Ben Foster. Producer or not, I'm the title character, she argued. Foster veteran Oscar-nominated earned double in the first offer. Sydney CC'd the studio's HR officer, citing Warner Settlement stats on gender gap. It took 2 all-hands calls and the threat of her walking, but parity cleared. She then split 10% of her back end with the 10 stunt women who doubled body shots for close-ups. "If the film wins," she said, "everyone who bruised for me wins too." Original drafts framed Christy as a battered wife, who then became a boxer. Sweeney hated the order. "She was a fighter first. That's why she survived the marriage," she told screenwriter Dana Fox. They inverted the timeline. Open on 13-year-old Christy knocking out a varsity boy in a barn brawl. Cut to grown-up Christy cowering in a kitchen corner after a gym slap. Audience understands the paradox without exposition. They also inserted a 5-minute 1993 Don King contract scene that dissects exploitation in women's sports. Studio notes called it too talky. Sydney's final cut kept every word. Christy discovered her sexuality through sparring partner Lisa Holwine. Hollywood loves the locker room lust cliché. Sydney hired queer intimacy coordinator Ita O'Brien, same expert from I May Destroy You. They blocked love scenes under fluorescent gym light, unflattering reel, no slow-motion silhouette. Sweat can be erotic without objectification, Sydney told DP Greg Fraser, who shot with 16mm film stock, grainy, pulsing, almost documentary. Test audiences said the sex felt awkward, honest, exhilarating, like sneaking a kiss between rounds. Exactly. Take 37 of a clinch scene. Foster's prop pistol in waistband dug into Sydney's rib. She didn't call cut. On action, he shoved her against motel wallpaper. Gun butt cracked a rib. She finished the scene, collapsed in makeup chair, whispered, "Ice please." An hour later, paramedics rolled her out a back stairwell to avoid paparazzi. When news leaked of possible injury, production issued bland statements. In reality, she filmed the next morning in a compression wrap, tears mixing with sweat. Asked later why she hid it, she said, "Christy fought 3 rounds with a broken hand. My bruise was continuity." Sydney's own mom, Lisa, flew to set and watched dailies. She cried during a scene where Christy phones her mom after a KO. Sydney hugged her and said, "I know you worry industry only sees my body. This film is proof I'm more than body." Lisa replied, "I never doubted that, I just wanted the world to catch up." They laughed, iced ribs, and FaceTimed Christy Martin, who joked, "You punch better than your mom." Roy Thompson Hall, 2,100 seats. Movie ends on slow-motion jump rope metronome, lights up. Silence for half a breath, then a roar. Sweeney stood in cracked boxing boots because she promised Christy she'd wear them. Ben Foster kissed her bruised knuckles. Christy Martin raised Sweeney's hand like a referee, announcing a winner. Critics tweeted ovation of the festival. Sydney whispered to Martin, "I'm still shaking." Martin replied, "Good, means you're alive." Most outlets praised volcanic physicality and career-defining grit. A few headline trolls still typed Sweeney weaponizes sex appeal. She screenshotted one review, posted on IG with caption, "If you still see cleavage under 12-aught gloves, that's on you." The post hit 1 million likes. She donated ad revenue to Safe Horizon domestic abuse shelters, $74,615. Budget $22 before marketing. Tax credits net 4M. Fight scene insurance hike added $600K. TIFF sale to Amazon for streaming window 18M. Theatrical forecasts 15M opening, $45 domestic cum undwe, $25 domestic cum, $20 foreign. Profit locked. But Sydney's real win is annuity. She retains remake rights for international versions starring local female fighters, a potential micro-franchise, and a seat at Hollywood's grown-ups table. Post-rap, she kept 10 lebs of lean mass. Magazine covers asked about her new shredded look. She replied, "Bodies change with roles. Stop ranking them." She partnered with Title Boxing to launch Fight Like her youth camps in Coletown, Appalachia. First one in Mingo County High, Christy's alma mater. Curriculum boxing basics, trauma counseling, scholarship coaching. First session filled in 2 days. Campaign begins December. SAG peers love physical sacrifice. Academy loves transformation plus producer credit. Potential nomination trifecta. Actress, adapted screenplay editing. Studio PR pushes angle. Christy Martin fought for legitimacy. Sydney Sweeney fights for authenticity. She attends luncheon wearing suit, no cleavage. Symbolic middle finger to body commentary. Back row whispers predict Oscar nod. She shrugs, says she's already won. "I got to spar 10 rounds with the woman who inspired me." On a YouTube masterclass, She tells film school grads, learn contracts before choreography. Lift weights. They make more room in your head than in your shoulders. If the world fixates on one part of you, show them another until they have to pan out. Never apologize for wanting back-end points. Bruises fade, residuals feed future films. She signs off quoting Christy Martin's Hall of Fame speech. Sometimes the toughest fight isn't in the ring, it's convincing yourself you belong in it. Then Sydney adds, and sometimes the body people mocked becomes the engine that knocks them out. Christy. In theaters November 7.